Hello learners, welcome to today's session. You are the learners of the course MEV 051, which is a part of the PG Diploma in Waste Management program. This is the topic which is related to block 1 of the course, in which we will be discussing about waste, their sources, types and classification. Although it appears that we have a lot of information about waste, and every day we hear about terms related to waste like waste disposal, too much of increase in the waste generation, so many type of diseases occurring and pollution also being caused due to waste mismanagement. But systematically we have to understand, number one, the definition of the waste, what are the sources, from where does it come, what are the types, and how can we classify. So let us move on with the today's topic, beginning with first discussion, that is, what is waste. You go to the dictionary and see and look at the word waste. You know it is very commonly used term, which is not required, which is of no use, which has been broken. All those substances are termed as waste products. And everyday life, in everyday activities, we observe that there are so many types of waste being generated. You look around and you will find there are so many articles which are being discarded, materials which are just lying here and there, paper, plastic, metals, glass. So many materials which are not being used are lying here and there. We are throwing them. That is a waste. So if you look into the characteristics of the waste, it is like a substance which is no longer needed, which has completed its utility. The lifespan is over, or which has become an obsolete. That product, that substance or that material is termed as waste. Look at the screen. Here you have the definition of the waste. So, waste is defined as materials or substances that are no longer suited for their intended use. Maybe because they are broken or they are outdated. This includes discarded materials that are no longer required by the owner or user, such as municipal solid waste, hazardous waste, construction debris, and therefore, since the nature of the waste is very different from one another, the volume of the waste is very different from one another, there are various means by which we classify them. Not all the waste streams are alike, and therefore we must understand that in today's world it is becoming very difficult to manage this waste, because not only the volume is increasing, around 56.2 million tons of waste is being generated annually from 42 million tons in 2018. This shows that the volume of the waste has increased. We will not discuss what are the factors responsible for this increase, because it may be because of population increase or urbanization or affluence of the people. But the worry is not the volume, but also the nature of the waste has changed. The materials which are lying unattended on the landfills or which are covering our dustbins at our homes, it is a hazardous, you can say the composition is like that it contains toxic materials. It is hazardous, and those materials which will be remaining in the planet for several millions years. The problem today is not only increase of the waste generation, but also because of the composition of the waste which has changed. In the earlier times, there was not the problem of waste management, because the amount which was released was very less, and most of the type of the waste was biodegradable in nature. It was easily recyclable. it got back to the nature in its original form through nature's process of regeneration and decomposition. But with time, with change, now the waste which is going in our landfills is there for various years. It contains electronic items, it contains plastic substances, it contains your hospital waste, and the constituents are heavy metals, the toxic substances, hazardous materials, and so on. Therefore, it is understandable to see that waste management, we will be talking about it in some other section, some other session, that how it should be done and what all it comprises of, what are the stages. But today we are focusing only on the type. Let us just think all about the waste, the sources and the types. Now, further going into what are the types of the solid waste. Basically, in a very simple language, you look around and you will find that waste are of two types. Maybe it is the dry waste or the wet waste. See, you see papers, you see old furniture, old crockery, broken toys, cloth pieces. Go to the market and you will find all these things. Go to any public place, public garden, in your homes, you will find all these things. They are the dry waste. The moisture in them is very less. Then we have the wet waste, and therefore you must have seen that in the public places we have two colored dustbins where it is recommended to throw wet and the dry waste in separate bins. Wet waste is that waste which is biodegradable in nature, which is organic in nature, which has a moisture in it, and which can be easily converted into compost or another form of some manure. Then what is a wet waste? Wet waste is that waste which comes out from your kitchens, which comes out from the hospitality sector, mainly the restaurants and all. So the fruits and the vegetable peelings, the leftover food, the stolen food items in your fridge, or if you look at the agricultural sector, that is also one of the main generator of the wet waste, because here you have the surplus food grains, here you have the fruits and the vegetables which have been destroyed, or even the fodder comes into this category. So wet waste is basically your agricultural waste or your kitchen waste. The ways and means of managing the dry waste and the wet waste are very, very different from each other. So this is a broad classification for a layman to understand that what is a dry waste and what is a wet waste. Further, you look into the form of the solid waste, and upon various literatures and various composition of the waste, when you see, you will find that when you look everything in a combined manner, you will find that waste can be categorized into solid waste, liquid waste and gaseous waste. All the discussions and all the topics and examples which we were just referring are solid waste. Like all the urban waste. Urban waste comprises of plastic bags, your packaging items, your crockery items which are broken, or your cardboard, your metal items, or you can say the wood articles, all what we are seeing, that is the solid waste. And basically these includes the urban waste, the industrial waste, agricultural waste, biomedical waste and radioactive waste. In your hospitals, you have lot of examples of the solid waste, the syringes, the bandages, or the expired medicines, that is a solid waste. In industries, you have metals, iron pieces, or different kinds of, the packaging material which are being used, the worn out parts of the various machinery, that is a solid waste. And apart from it, when you are manufacturing anything, the products are being manufactured. At that time also, so many byproducts are being released as such. Even the sawdust, what you say, even the finest dust particles which you can see, especially in the leather industries, especially in the tanning industries, you find that these types of waste are released in huge numbers. And agricultural waste, just now we were discussing. They are the solid waste which are solid in nature, which have mass, which have the properties different from the liquid waste. Now, what are the liquid waste? Waste which are being generated, say, from washing, flushing, or manufacturing process of industries are known as the liquid waste. When we wash clothes, or when we are doing any industrial processes when they are being done, and must have seen the effluent coming out from the industries. Now those effluents contains hazardous substances, also they are quite contaminated, and even there are certain cases they may be rich in so many types of chemicals. They are the liquid waste. They have the waste materials in them, and if they are just thrown in the water bodies, or if they are just allowed to seep through the ground, they lead to soil pollution and water pollution. So these are the liquid waste, and you must have come across various examples of such kind. Not all the wastes are solid in nature, and industrial processes, and even if you are talking about your kitchen waste also, you will find there also you have lot of examples where you can see there is a liquid waste coming out. For example, this milk, if you are just throwing like that, or any kind of the liquid which is coming out from your kitchens, that is a part of the liquid waste, where you cannot store it like that, but altogether when you have to make proper scientific management of the liquid waste, then you have to go for various stages of the treatment, like primary treatment, secondary treatment, tertiary treatment, and so on. Then we have the gaseous waste. Look at the picture of the automobiles. Look at the picture of the fossil fuels burning where it is taking place, or the brick kilns, the smokestacks, the gaseous substances which are emitted from the factories, industries, vehicles, thermal power plants, nuclear power plants. They are the examples of the gaseous waste. Now, you may think that gaseous waste is just like the air pollutants which are being released into the atmosphere. They lead to air pollution. Likewise, liquid waste are being released into the water bodies, and they cause the water pollution. And most of the problem of the waste and improper waste management and all these is related to the solid waste only. And therefore, in this particular course, like overview of waste management, in various sections of the various blocks which you will be studying, it is mainly discussing about the waste which is in solid in nature. So how do you collect it, how do you segregate it, how do you transport it, and how do you finally dispose it? All these are part of the waste management concerning mainly the solid waste only. Now, when you see, and among all these solid waste also, you will find there are various categories. There are various sources of generation. So, before we go into the sources, let us have a look at what are the classification of the waste, how the waste can be classified. So, in the first part of this classification, we had studied about the wet waste, that is the biodegradable waste, and the dry waste, which is the non-biodegradable waste. And we have seen various examples of these two distinct categories of the waste. Then we have the solid waste, and in that we have various subcategories, like we have solid waste we just now discussed, which have so many examples we just now gone through. Then e-waste, which is the upcoming digital electronic e-waste, which is comprising of the electronic gadgets, electronic appliances, big, small medical appliances, communication devices, they all form the electronic waste. The liquid waste, which we just now had an idea about the industries which release lot of liquid waste. Then plastic waste, which is again a cause of the worry. Various types of plastic, various forms of plastics like LDPE, PVC, HDPE, polystyrene, various types of plastics which you see all around. They come in various forms, they come in various sizes, they come in various colors. These are the various types of the plastics, and we know that plastic is bad for the environment, and it constitutes one of the major category of the waste streams which are lying on our landfills and which need immediate attention. Then metal waste. Basically, metal waste is released from the industries and also from the commercial establishments, but it also is a potential waste generation which can be recycled or which can be put into optimum use if properly collected, segregated and treated. Then we have the nuclear waste, which is hazardous, which is extremely carcinogenic and which poses threat to environment, which poses threat to human health if it is leaking into the environment. Then another category is domestic hazardous waste and non-hazardous waste. In our homes also, we have the medicines which are expired or which we are just throwing like that. We have various types of insect repellents, floor cleaners, all these chemicals which we are using in our homes, and we are mixing it with our normal garbage of the family of municipal waste. It contaminates, and this category of the waste is also increasing in volume nowadays. Then we have the non-hazardous waste, that is the glass, paper, metal, iron, small articles, which are being generated. They constitute that they are not hazardous, but also they need a proper mechanism for collection, segregation, and then only they can be properly managed. So this is the broad classification of the waste, and further, if we look into what are the sources of the waste from where it is being generated, so here these are the just few examples, but also there may be many more. If you yourself think that from where does the waste come, there may be tourist places, there may be some other places which may come into your minds. You can always add to the list which is being here, but basically these are the main sources of the waste generation. Number one is urban or municipal waste, which is being generated from our cities, from our towns, also which is increasing in huge numbers. Heaps of mountains of garbage which you find outside your cities is a clear indication of the increase in municipal waste generation over the period of the years. So door-to-door picking and your the kabadi walas which come to your home, they all are playing a huge role in collecting the municipal waste from various sources. But further, if you look at the municipal waste, you will find that your schools, hospitals, restaurants, public places, markets, homes, all these are a part of the municipality only. All these are there in the cities and they all comprise of the municipal waste. Then we have the industrial waste, small industries, big industries, textile, pesticides, glass, fertilizer, iron and steel industries, personal care industries, pharmaceutical industries, textile industries. All these are the industries, which manufacture huge amounts of products, and along with that there is a generation of the waste, which is, of course, it may be recyclable, but the point which is to be understood here is that the nature is changed. Every industry generates different kind of the waste. Then commercial waste, which includes your commercial establishments, the corporates, and here you have big cardboards, packaging materials, also electronic appliances. These are being generated, and the sources are the commercial establishments. It may be markets or your malls or your hotels or your big shopping plazas. Even your airports may come into this category. So they are the commercials. Agricultural waste, we talked about agricultural waste. Horticultural waste will come into this. The fodder comes into this. The agricultural operations, different stages of agriculture, application of the fertilizer, sowing of the seeds, weeding, storing of the grains, transportation of the grains. Every stage you will find that there is a waste generation. Hospital waste or biomedical waste also we call it, and they contain categories of the waste. Maybe according to the severity, they may be yellow coded or red coded, but they are also, even the diagnostic centers, the primary health clinics, etc., will come into this. So their waste is also generated in huge amounts and needs special treatment. And then there is construction and demolition waste. After agriculture, it is the construction industry, which is growing like anything. And when you notice any construction work going on, you can imagine that what kind of waste is being generated. So sanitary ware, tiles, and your stones, and other types of waste which are being generated. It also requires a special treatment because most of it is recyclable, but an ecosystem is needed wherein you can see that how the waste is collected comes at a point where we can provide some solution, maybe physical, chemical or biological treatment to the waste, and stop it from going into the water bodies or the landfills. So if you classify the waste on various categories, you will find that all these, whatever be the source from wherever they are coming, these are the main basis, how you can classify them. So either we can classify them on their basis of their form. How do they look? Like they are solid or liquid or gaseous, or on the basis of their biodegradability. Is it biodegradable? Is it decomposed on its own? Or it is non-biodegradable, means which is going to remain as such in the environment on the basis of its nature, on the basis of its source of generation, or on the basis of its composition. So learners, you must understand that when you are asked how do you classify the waste, then you must be in a position to tell that the waste can be classified on the basis of several criteria. So if I say if it is classified on the basis of the form, or if it is classified on the basis of its biodegradability, that is altogether different. For example, on the screen you can see now various examples. We have already seen, and just a repetition, that on the basis of their forms, if we are classifying, it is solid waste, liquid waste and gaseous waste. Solid waste already we have seen, like plastics, styrofoam containers, bottles, cans, paper, scrap iron, other trash. Liquid waste is waste in a liquid form like domestic washings, chemicals, oils, waste, water from ponds. And gaseous waste is waste in the gaseous form like the different gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, etc. Like on the basis of their biodegradability, that it can be degraded. Like you can see paper can be biodegraded. After a certain time, you can biodegrade it. Wood, fruit peelings, vegetable peelings, and all the agriculture and the horticulture waste comes into the category of the biodegradable waste. Non-biodegradable waste is the waste which cannot be degraded, which remains as such in the environment, which persists like that for several million years, and therefore they need to be sent to the recycling industries or they need to be incinerated, and we have to think about suitable plans and methods to see that they are reduced in the number, that the volume is reduced. Likewise, on the basis of their nature, there are certain wastes which are very hazardous. They need to be stored separately and they cannot be burnt, they cannot be thrown away in the water bodies. They are hazardous waste because they are very reactive. They react with air, water or any other chemical they come in contact with. They can cause serious injuries. They cause environmental pollution, and toxicity of these types of waste is very high. So those substances which are unsafe to use or commercially, industrially, agriculturally, economically are very, very ignitable, corrosive, reactive, toxic. They come into the category of the hazardous waste. On the other hand, there are certain waste which are non-hazardous. They may be generated in huge amount, but they are non-hazardous. So if we recycle it, then it poses no threat. On the basis of the source of generation, we have just now seen, like we have the municipal waste, we have the biomedical waste, we have industries, agriculture, fishery, institutional or commercial waste, and on the basis of the composition, it is radioactive waste, electronic waste, plastic waste, sanitary waste, construction and demolition waste, and you can keep on adding the number. So, with the current crisis, with the current increase in the waste generation, with the current problems that we are facing, it is becoming very difficult and we don't have any choice. We, first of all, that is why as a student of PG Diploma in Waste Management Program, learners, it is very important for you to understand the different types, sources and classification of the waste. So once you understand the differences between the various categories, you can know what are the source of generation, then only we can move further and we can think about what physical, chemical and the biological treatment must be applied. So the current situation is very warm, and what we can do as a common man, as an individual, looking into the various examples and what we have seen, it is important for us to stay informed, to consume less, to refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and say no to plastic bags, and wherever possible segregate and compose the organic waste. So in this session we have learnt about the various sources, types and classification of the waste. I hope this session was useful to you and you must have got an idea about the topic. Thank you so much.